While the political deal-making continues over the future of Ukraine, what's happening on the battlefield? Well, the war is still raging all along the 800-mile front line, albeit with very little movement. There are reports the Russians are preparing to launch a spring offensive in the coming weeks. President Zelensky has warned that Moscow is planning to attack the Sumy and Kharkiv regions of Ukraine. If Moscow succeeds in taking more territory, analysts think Vladimir Putin could use it as leverage to impose even harsher conditions on any potential peace deal. On the battlefield, Russian mill bloggers claim Moscow's forces are continuing to take back territory inside Kursk. They claim Russian troops have reached the Sudza checkpoint, the key border post that Ukrainian troops seized from Russia when they launched their incursion last August. If true, that could well mark the end of the Kursk operation, possibly why Vladimir Putin felt confident enough to visit the area himself, if these pictures are to be believed. Elements of Russia's 106th Airborne Division, which was also involved in the battle for Avdiivka, are also reportedly advancing into Ukraine's Sumy Oblast, expanding a salient in the north of the region. The Russians have also continued attacking northwest of Kharkiv, trying to push the Ukrainians back so they can bring their artillery in range of Kharkiv city. Here, Ukrainian drones are reportedly keeping the Russians at bay, stopping them from launching mechanized assaults. But Kharkiv is increasingly suffering, with Moscow launching ballistic missiles and Shahed drones at the city. In the latest attack, a military hospital and civilian buildings were hit. These footballers running for cover as a Shahed struck. Some reports say the Russians have changed their long-range drone tactics, holding Shaheds in a loitering pattern several miles from the target before sending them all in simultaneously. In Luhansk, the Russians are also attacking around Kupiansk, but again without any major gains. Here, Ukrainian reports say Moscow's forces are using 70-year-old T-55 tanks like these to move troops around, an indication of just how deeply Russia's tank stocks have been depleted by this war. It's a similar picture in Donetsk. Here, Russian forces are continuing to attack around Chaziv Yar. Fighting's also intensified around Toretsk, 20 kilometers southwest of Bakhmut, with the Russians making small advances. After pummeling its defenders with glide bombs, the Russians largely occupy what's left of this former mining town, which occupies a key position on high ground. But there is still fighting going on, with Ukrainian infantry fighting house to house and even downing a Russian Su-25 attack aircraft. Another key town the Russians are trying to capture is Pokrovsk. It's a vital logistics hub for the Ukrainian army and straddles the major east-west highway it uses to supply the front line. The Russians have tried to encircle it from the south, but so far haven't succeeded. If they do, the fear is that it would open the way for Russian assaults on Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, the two biggest cities that Ukraine still controls in eastern Donetsk. The other major axis the Russians are assaulting is in the south, in western Zaporizhia. Here they've advanced around Orikhiv, the place where Ukraine launched its unsuccessful counteroffensive in the summer of 2023. Russian mill bloggers claim Moscow is concentrating forces here on the outskirts of Kamyansk for a future assault against the settlement. The prospect of talks, let alone a ceasefire, having very little impact on Vladimir Putin's push for more Ukrainian territory. Simon Newton, BFBS Forces News. Thanks for watching. For more from BFBS Forces News, like and subscribe to our channel.